Hello, it's Ed. Thanks for joining me again. Hope you're well. I am out in Stockport today, back on home turf after a few videos away from here. But I'm going to be out shooting this interesting film today. This is Jessops SHR200. Now, if I remember rightly, this is the film that they used to give you when you took your film in for processing to keep you coming back. So they give you a film, you'd process it, you take it back, they give you another one. I paid £8 for this. Some people call me stupid. It was, I think, pretty much the last thing left in the expired film tub, which shows that probably nobody else really wanted it. But, you know, I'm always there for the underdog. I want to try something out and see what I can get. Now, this expired in 2002, so I don't have high hopes for it. Even if it was a Velvia that had expired in 2002, I wouldn't have high hopes for it, but this, probably not. But I'm going to stick it in my usual carry around, my XA, and I'm going to take it out on the streets of Stockport today to see if I can get some interesting street photographs. And as I walk, I want to try and talk to you about my topic of the day, which is how much is too much, because that's something that's been on my mind quite a lot recently. Now, specifically, how much is too much going out and shooting street photography, but it's not just about that, and I will explain in more detail very shortly. But it is a very cold, chilly autumn morning and I need a sausage roll, so I'm going to go and grab that and then we will carry on shooting. So I wandered across the square to Greg's, making sure I didn't let the pigeons in, got myself my usual and headed off to find a bench on which to sit and have my breakfast. Sausage roll time. Can be a lot happier after this, I think. Right, what was I going to talk about? Yeah, I've been hearing people saying if I don't go out and shoot for a week, I feel stressed and not right. I hear other people saying when I go out and shoot, I'll walk for 5, 6, 7 hours. Do you need to do that amount to actually be a good street photographer, to keep your eye in, to keep yourself fresh? Or is it actually you're overtraining? When it comes to athletics, it's very important to build up to a marathon, say, you know, do lots of training. But you've also got to have your rest days. You've got to give your body a chance to recover. And I think that's got to be the same in street photography. You can't be doing it all the time, and you can't be doing it for excessive amounts of time in one session and expect to get better and to keep producing good work. So, that said, let's go and do some street photography around the streets of Stockport, and I will try and explain to you why these are my opinions. And of course, as always, they are just my opinions. Feel free to disagree. Please do comment in the comment section and let me know what you think, and don't take my word for gospel as if you would. But anyway, I'm going to finish this sausage roll. I'm going to head up, I think, to Hillgate, because I've not been there for a while, and we'll see what's changed down there since last time. I'll start shooting the Jessops film and we will talk some more. So just about 5 minutes walk to get to the bottom of Hillgate, and a little opportunity to digest that sausage roll. Okay, so I'm going to crack on and do Hillgate in a minute, but it's time to load up. And while I do, I will just talk a little bit more about why I'm making this video. Those of you that follow the channel will know that I made a video a while ago called How Do You Fit Photography Into Your Life? And so I guess this is kind of a companion piece to that, but it has got some very different messages in it and things that I've been thinking about since then. Okay, so let's get this battered box of film into the camera. Colour film, 20 years expired. I'm going to actually, so just putting it in there, I'm actually going to shoot this at 100. It's a 200 speed film, but I'm going to shoot it at 100 because I think that will work better. So yeah, that is nicely in there. I'm going to close the back, change the ISO from 200 down to 100 and wind it on. There we are on number 1. Right, so I'm going to go and shoot around Hillgate and work my way down into Stockport Town Centre, because I do think it does help to warm up when you are shooting. It takes a little bit to get your eye in, so yeah, you do need to spend a bit of time, and I will do that in a quieter area so that when I get into the busier area of Stockport to do the more street photography, less landscape photography stuff, I am sharp. But I won't be doing excessive amounts of time. I'm not going to be spending 6 hours shooting today. I'm going to be shooting a couple of hours at the most, and that's probably going to be longer than I normally would because I'm filming on the way. Normally I would just do like a little hour and then call it a day, or maybe go out again later in the day and do another hour if I could fit it in, because that stops me thinking too much about just taking photographs. I don't know about you, but I stop thinking about the world as a world and I start thinking about it as a picture. And I think that's the danger when you overdo it. You stop looking at things fresh, which is what photography should be doing, and you start looking at things as potential photographs. And that's where it all goes wrong. Anyway, I'll talk more about that, and I'll talk about that 10,000 hours business as we go. So yes, that famous quote about needing 10,000 hours to become an expert in something. Yeah, you need practice. You need practice. But it's a bit like the 10,000 steps in a day. It's one of those things which just makes it easy to sort of say, yeah, you need to work hard. You need to do it for a long time. Don't get discouraged, which is absolutely right. But 10,000 hours, it's not a set target and you've got to reach it as fast as possible. And as soon as you reach that 10,000 hours, you'll become an expert and you can do anything you want. And your photography is going to be amazing. 10,000 hours is only good practice if it's guided practice. And what you need to do is you need to be thinking about what you're doing rather than just doing it. So part of those 10,000 hours is going out and looking at the world without a camera in your hand. Looking at the work that you've done and trying to understand it and see where you're coming from, learning rules of composition. If you just go out and walk around for 7 hours a day until you get to the magic number, just snapping away, you'll never become a great photographer. You'll just become better than you were, and a lot of those 10,000 hours will be wasted time. If it stops being fun and starts being something that you feel you've got to do, then maybe you've got a problem. It's like I was a very keen runner, and running was very good for me, for my mental health, to get out and forget about my problems. The endorphins would kick in when I've been running for a while. It was healthy, it got me out of the house, I lost weight. But there reaches a point where you start doing too much. It starts to become something you feel you have to do, and if you don't do it, you start feeling grumpy. And it's like an addiction. And photography, just like social media and all these other things, can become an addiction. Anything can become an addiction. I try and moderate my exercise and things now, possibly too much. Maybe I've gone too far the other way and I'm getting unhealthy and I need to do more. And that's the same with the photography. It's about finding balance in your photography as in everything else. And how much is too much will depend very much on who you are as a person and what you feel is necessary, which is why I'm not criticising the people who go out 7 hours a day, 5 days a week. But I just wouldn't want people to hear things like that on YouTube and start thinking, well, that's what I need to do if I want to become a great photographer, because you don't need to do that. You just need to be mindful. And when you do things, do them with a motivation, learn from it, look at it afterwards. Don't just do it and then think, that's not as good, I want to do more. If I do more, I'll get better. So with that said, I'm at the top of Hillgate. I'm going to take some pictures now. That'd be fun, wouldn't it? Actually taking some pictures on this photography channel. Right, I think there's one here actually. Let's just see. Well, that might be our first street photograph of the day. And indeed, it was the first one of the day, and yeah, it gets us started. It's nothing very exciting, but you can see how the film is looking. This 20 years expired, probably I would say budget film. The little red strip along the left hand side, well, that's just because it was where it was loaded and you could expect a little bit of a light leak. But those faded colours, that blue and pale red, the accentuated grain, that is what I remember as classic cheap film look. And obviously the 20 years has not been kind to it and it has exaggerated that even more, but I kind of like it because of that nostalgia. This is what I remember film looking like back in the day. Just an aside though, here I've put the Jessops expired film next to an Ultramax film, which I both had developed at the same time. So I'm pretty sure they went into the same machine and the same chemicals. And you can see the difference in the colours of the film. The Jessops has this yellow cast to it. The Ultramax, what you would expect, that orange backing, a lot darker, the Jessops 200. And that doesn't quite show up on this shot, but you could tell there was a layer of, I guess, fogging from the 20 years that it had sat in storage. So We've been here before. I took this photograph for my Hillgate project and then I came back and it is now a car wash, unsurprisingly, but it's got some really lovely geometrics on it, some yellow out against the black, and it's actually closed this morning, so I won't have lots of people thinking I'm getting in the way and why am I photographing them, am I there from some sort of secret service or something. And again, it sort of shows when it's time to shoot something again. If I'd come back too soon, nothing would have changed, it wouldn't have been worth shooting. But actually it's changed enough now to make it worthwhile. I'm going to get a shot of it now. So yeah, I hope you understand what I was saying there, is that idea about putting lots of hours in, shooting the same thing, going around the same route, hoping to get a picture. It's important to try different things, go out and do different kinds of photography, go and do landscape photography, go and do portrait photography. Don't just do one kind of photography because it will make you feel stale. But anyway, to look at this picture, I actually quite like this. It's got kind of duotone look to it. It's got the blue and the yellow, and yes, there is a little bit of red there on the street sign. That's one. I might try and get another angle just over there. It's a bit straight on, but they are nice yellow blocks. Yeah, I quite like this. With a little bit of extra processing and just straightening up those verticals just a tiny bit, it's quite a nice shot, isn't it, like this? Hiya, you a photographer by any chance? Yeah. Nice to meet you. And it was, yeah, I just bumped into another guy who was shooting some buildings down the street, had a little chat, and he subscribed to my channel, so thanks mate, thanks for subscribing. Hope you enjoy watching this one. Now I really like the geometrics formed over there by the crane and the light, and there's the big Stockport Park sign. They're creating a new housing block there, so let's see if I can get that to work. If I got somebody going past, that would be even better, or a bus. Yeah, quite a nice one. The geometrics work, the colours are really nice, and this one I think is even nicer. I like the motion blur of the scooter going past this sign for the new housing project that is coming to the A6 in Stockport. Really nice colour bars there, it's almost like a flag, and it just shows that an old film, a budget film, you can get some really interesting results, and that's why I do the film photography rather than always shooting digital. But the other reason is because it limits me. It cuts down the number of shots that I take. Again, when I was talking about doing these 10,000 hours and 7 hours a day and however many steps, I imagine that people are just snapping away trying to get that shot. The machine gun approach, the more pictures you take, the more chance you're going to have of getting a good shot. And that is not what I want to do. I want, as I keep saying, to be mindful, to just take a picture when there is a picture to be taken, obviously to be on the lookout for it, but not just to keep thinking, shoot, look. So this is the Masonic Hall actually, and there's some lovely light falling on there. There's some really nice geometrics. I just hope I can make the best of them. One thing I like to do is make sure I try and keep the camera level as much as possible so you don't get those weird verticals, because unless it's a really extreme thing, it can look really bad. I'm going to try and hold it straight. I have to go for portrait orientation to get that done. We'll see, it might be one. And yeah, I really like the geometrics here, and I think, again, this aging film has actually benefited the shot because the tones kind of work better, the grain kind of works better. Now I can never resist a shadow against a red brick wall. Do you remember that Shadows of Nature project? So that is going to have to be taken. And yes, I like this one too. Now you may be saying, these aren't street photographs, there's nobody in it. These pictures you've taken, only the first one actually had a person in it. Well, I would argue that street photography is a much wider canvas than a lot of people say, and you want to explore all these avenues. You don't just want to be taking pictures of people rushing through a crowd towards you and looking very animated. That is one kind of street photography, but that seems to be what a lot of people are spending 7 hours a day, 5 days a week, just going with a camera going snap from the hip, and one of those millions of shots turns out to be a good one, and they think that's them improving as a street photographer. And I would argue that that is not what is happening. It is just playing the numbers game. It's roulette, and every so often you are going to be a winner. I am happy with my 36 exposures, and we will move on, and I'll hopefully show you that street photography that is up ahead will have benefited from this kind of street photography, and that is part of the learning process. It's what I'm saying, it's not just repetition, it's doing things fresh, it's learning other styles. So that said, let's switch to a point of view kind of style video, and I will show you how I do go around sometimes shooting from the hip, because this is part of the learning process as well. It's learning what your camera is seeing when you are taking a picture from the angle, so you do not need to be looking through the viewfinder, and practicing that is important and is part of becoming an expert in street photography. Every time you try a new camera, or particularly a new brand of camera, you're learning a new set of controls. That's not part of learning to be a photographer, that's part of learning to use a camera. And really you need to learn how to use a camera and then go and practice the photography. So I'm a great believer in sticking to one particular camera where possible, and that will really help you learn your craft. So there you go, that's what you get when you're an expert at your craft. Not a brilliant shot, is it? So many things wrong with it. It's partly because I'm not used to using this film, I'm not used to using this particular XA camera, and to be honest, I forgot for a moment that I had dropped the film speed down to 100 from 200, so there is more movement in this than I thought there would be. And not looking through the viewfinder, shooting from the hip, obviously I couldn't see what the shutter speed was going to be. So let's move swiftly on from that. And so just around the corner is Suffragette Square, and that's often a good place to get a picture because there are these nice modern buildings with a bit of nature around, and also often people just stopping to pass a bit of time. And yeah, an okay picture. It would have been better if the guy was a little bit closer in the frame, a bit larger relative to Elsie Plant, but I kind of like the arrangement of things, and shooting from the hip, I think that's not a bad result. After taking that picture, I headed round the corner, and the main thing is I was really enjoying this because I hadn't done a lot of street photography before this day. I'd had a little bit of a break, and even though I was shooting a video, which makes it slightly more involved and you have to be a little bit more on it, I was still feeling relaxed and enjoying myself. And that is a really, really important thing. When it becomes a pain, it stops being something that's worth doing. It's not about training to beat the best, it's about enjoying yourself, and that's what I was doing on this day in this lovely sunshine. And just around the corner from that was probably one of my favourites from the day, this plain white wall on Hatton Street and the red no entry sign. And the film has managed to cope with it pretty well, though you can see in the bottom left hand corner there is quite a lot of grain, there's quite a lot of noise in the shadows. And having taken that, I spotted this stay sign. This is part of a campaign against living miserably, and the light was falling in a particularly interesting way. You can see there's just this little patch of sunshine that I walked through amongst the shadow, and I thought that might make for a good background. Somebody was walking past just as I got there, and I just really like it. I love the red block with all the rest of it blue, the guy looking down at his phone. There is no connection between the two, but in the fantasy world that we create as photographers, there seems to be meaning in this picture. I also really like the way the light is glistening, almost like a little band of lights across the metal of the building at the top. Really, really love this picture, and I think actually it's the film as well as the photographer that has made it. So I'm really pleased that I used this old Jessops that probably I was a bit of a mug to pay £8 for, but you know, there are worse things to waste your money on, aren't there? It certainly helped my campaign against living miserably. I think I knew I got a good shot there, and it really inspired me to keep on shooting. I had about 5 or 6 shots left, and I headed off to make the most of them. I didn't quite make the most of it with this one. Again, a little bit too much motion blur, but that's it. You don't always get a good shot. You just got to keep firing away, but firing away with purpose, not randomly. Here I wanted to get the workman with the big lump hammer, but I just missed it by a fraction. And again, that's the thing. You got film, you only get one chance at it, really. It's not like you can fire 20 frames in a second and be pretty sure that you're going to get one shot, which is perfect. That's part of the discipline. But just around the corner, I did get a really lovely shot. It was a guy on his phone and with his dog, and it was just the pose and the colours, and I thought it all worked really well, and I just snapped it. And there's a lot of grain in this. There's a lot of noise in the shadows because of the film, but it's still a nice pose, and it's that thing where sometimes you've got to work with the materials you've got, and I don't know, honestly, if it would be 100 times better shot if it was done on a 40 megapixel camera and every detail was visible. Actually, I think you would lose something in that. It's like saying that a painting should have finer brush strokes. No, this works as it is. And I got it with just one of my 36 shots. A pretty nice way to end, I think. So there we go, another roll of film shot, another few hours in the experience bank, but not too many. couple of hours, that was enough for me. I had a really nice time, and I will go out again in a few days and I will shoot something else. And in the meantime, I will look at somebody else's photography. I will try and think about what I did and how I could improve. I won't just keep going at it and at it and at it and overtraining. But that's what's right for me, and we all tend to know, I think, what's right for us deep down. And so that's what I'm trying to say really all the way through this, is listen to that inner voice, not so much the people that are out there in the YouTube universe, the Instagram universe, all those influencers out there who are telling you what is best. Do what works for you. So that said, thanks so much for your company. Please do like, share and subscribe. It really helps me out, helps me keep going. But until we meet again, take care of yourselves, enjoy what you're shooting. Bye for now.